Hello friends, welcome to this YouTube video program. Friends, in our earlier program, we have discussed about different types of evaluation. You see, as per the approach of evaluation is concerned, we have four types of evaluation. That is placement evaluation, formative evaluation, diagnostic evaluation, and summative evaluation. We have already discussed the concept of these four types of evaluation as per the approaches, that is placement, formative, diagnostic, and summative. And we have also discussed about the distinction between formative evaluation and summative evaluation, as these two evaluation are highly used in the teaching learning process. Just to recapitulate, we can say that few types of evaluation are used before the instructional process, and few evaluation types that we practice, that is during the teaching learning process. Then few evaluation types that we use after completion of the entire instructional process, entire teaching learning process. Just like we conduct placement evaluation before the instructional process, before starting of the teaching learning process, then we conduct formative and diagnostic, both the types of evaluation, that is during the instructional process. Means when we teach the students, when we deal the students, when we implement the curriculum, then we will do these two types of evaluation, formative and diagnostic. It is continuous in nature. And after completion of the entire teaching learning process, after completion of the entire curriculum, or after completion of the courses, you can say, okay, courses or the subject, then we conduct this summative evaluation. Then the other types of, you can say, the classification or types of evaluation, that is as per the norm of reference, okay, as per the norm of reference. So we can classify evaluation as per the norm, as per the nature of reference, that is of two types, that is norm referenced evaluation and criterion reference evaluation. I repeat it, as per the nature of reference, we have two types of evaluation, that is norm reference evaluation and criterion reference evaluation. So friends, try to understand what is the concept of a norm reference evaluation first. Then we will discuss about the criterion reference evaluation. So today we will discuss about the concept of these two types of evaluation as per the nature of reference, that is norm reference evaluation or test, and the second is criterion reference evaluation or criterion reference test. And further we will also differentiate between these two concepts, okay, in different, by using different parameters we can differentiate these two concept, two types of evaluation, that is norm reference evaluation and criterion reference evaluation. So friends, let us try to understand the concept of norm reference evaluation. You see, when we measure one's relative position in a well defined known group, we usually use the norm reference test. So try to remember, try to understand what I am saying. When we measure one's relative position in a well defined known group, we usually use the norm reference test. So friends, here you see, in this sentence I am using two important terms, two important words, you can say, that is one's relative position and a known group. Okay, so you should understand that what is one's relative position and what is a known group. And it is one's relative position in a well defined known group, means there will be a group, that group is well defined, and in that group any individual's position, when you determine, when you find out any individual's, any student's relative position, then you can say that can be done by using a norm reference test or norm reference evaluation. Let us try to understand by taking one example. Just like you see, for example, if we want to know anyone's rank or position in the 10th board examination held in 2019, let in the state of Uttar Pradesh. or in the state of Punjab or in any state, you can say. So here you see in this example, we have first of all two things we have to explain. One's relative position is the first concept, then second is well defined known group. So friends, you see when I am saying 10th board examination held in 2019 in the state of Uttar Pradesh, it means in the year of 2019 in UP, in the state of Uttar Pradesh, there is a 10th board. They have their 10th board, they have their 12th board. So here means the students those have appeared 10th board examination in the year 2019. Here I am not saying 2020, not saying 2018. Means I am defining here, I am clearly defining a group. Means a group of students who have those have appeared the 10th board examination in the state of Uttar Pradesh, not in any other state. Here also I am defining the state, the geographical area, that is the Uttar Pradesh. Then here also I have already earmarked, I have already cleared, defined the year, that is in 2019, and the board is 10th board exam. Means the board exam which is conducted in the 10th standard. Okay. So means here a group of students, means those have appeared the 10th board exam in 2019 in the state of Uttar Pradesh. Their number may be in 1 lakh, their number may be in 2 lakhs or 5 lakhs or 10 lakhs. I don't know. But here I have defined the, you can say the group. That is, the group is now well defined. This is a known group. You can list the group and you can find out what is their number, what is their location also. Then in this group, basing upon the result of the students, if we want to know anyone's rank or position, you see in our definition what we emphasized upon two terms. First is the one's relative position. So here relative position means anyone's rank or position. Okay, let I say let a student X stood fast. Okay, in 10th board examination held 2019 in the state of Uttar Pradesh. So here you see the rank of the student is first. Then rank of the student is second or the third or 10th or 80th, or you can say let 70, the rank is 72, 75th. So here when we are comparing or we measure one's relative position in a well-defined known group, so that can be done by using a norm-referenced evaluation. Then second example let us take, when we compare individual score with the group score on a different parameters, we can say that this can be done with norm-referenced evaluation. Here you see individual score, when we compare individual score with the group score. So individual score, as I have already said, that individual score is having no meaning at all, okay, or having very limited meaning. And when individual score will be compared with the group score, then certain more meaning can be emerged, and you can give certain more meaning to that individual score. Just like individual score can be compared with the group score, with the mean score. Okay. Then you can say you can order this score either descending order or in ascending order. You can group the score. You can make different class intervals, and after getting the average score of the group, then you can say you can compare anyone's individual score with the average score. Let average score is 50 and anyone's individual score is 45. You can say that he or she is having a below average student score 45, whereas the group score is 50. Let anyone's score is 78. You can say he or she is an above average student because the average score is 50 and the student has secured 78. So you can give more meaning when you compare the individual score with the group score. And you see such type of things can be done by using the norm-referenced evaluation. Then second we will discuss about the criterion-reference evaluation. You see in norm-reference evaluation, importance are given on the groups. Whereas when we talk about the criterion-reference evaluation, here you see importance is given not upon the group, rather that is importance is given upon you can say the criteria, the criterion. So the criterion here is the learning task. So let us try to understand what is a criterion and what type of test, what types of evaluation should be conducted so far as criterion reference evaluation is concerned. You see, criterion reference evaluation is related to performance of the students in a well defined learning task. So here I am saying this is I'm just let me to repeat it. Criterion reference evaluation is related to performance of the students in a well defined learning task. Here you see in the earlier case in norm reference test, what I was saying, one's relative position in a well defined known group. So group was given importance and one's performance, one's relative position was given importance. But here what we are emphasizing in criterion reference evaluation, that it is related to performance of the student. So directly we are saying that not one's relative position, not one's relative rank, rather the performance of the students, maybe in percentage of marks, okay, maybe you can say the completion of a task. So it is related to performance of the students in a well defined learning task. So here we are giving importance upon the learning task, not any group. So here group is not important, individual score is important, and when the individual score will compare with the learning task, then that can be done with by using the criterion reference evaluation. Friends, let us try to understand with certain example. You can say as example, if we say that any students, or you can say take the name of a student, if you say that let Sudhir successfully solved 60% of questions in the chapter of modern history, in class 9th text of history, is rightly an example of criterion referenced evaluation. You try to understand. As example, the examples that we have used here, if we say that Sudhir successfully solved 60% of questions. So here Sudhir's performance is given importance, means here Sudhir successfully solved 60% of questions. So the performance of the Sudhir is let here it is 60%, means let many questions were there. So among these questions Sudhir successfully solved 60% of the questions. Let 100 questions were there, then Sudhir solved 60 questions. Okay, 60% of these questions. So it shows the performance of Sudhir as the definition says here in the criterion reference evaluation. That is, criterion reference evaluation is related to performance of the students in a well defined learning task. So the performance of the student means performance of Sudhir is here. He solved 60% of questions. And second, we'll explain that what is well defined learning task. Just like in the earlier case in norm reference test, we are defining the well defined group, the well defined known group. But here group is not given importance, rather we are emphasizing upon a well defined learning task. So what is the learning task? You see, Sudhir successfully solved 60% of questions in the chapter of modern history in class 9th text of history. So in class 9th, in the history text, in the subject of history, there is a chapter, there is certain content, there is certain unit on modern history. Okay, so in the section of modern history, Sudhir appeared a test and successfully completed 60% of the questions. So here the learning task is the modern history. This is the chapter, this is the unit, and that is this learning task is from the class 9th history subject. So in class 9th history subject, one chapter, that is the modern history, and in that modern history one test has been developed, and in that test Sudhir successfully solved 60% questions. Okay, or you can also take other example of different other subjects. So friends, what I am emphasizing here, Sudhir's performance is compared with the learning task, with not Sudhir's performance here is not we are not comparing it with the performance of the group. We do not know what is the performance of the group, what is the average score, what is the standard deviation, what is the score of other students in the group, other subjects in the group. We are only concerned about the score of Sudhir or here any individual student. So friends, when we are comparing any individual student score with a definite learning task. Okay, the learning task is here modern history, just like learning task maybe in mathematics, maybe in sociology, maybe in economics. When you are saying that scored 60%, scored 70% in a learning task, or successfully attempted 60% of the questions, 70% of the questions with in a particular defined learning task, then you can say that this can be done with a criterion-referenced evaluation. Means here you are taking a criterion. That criterion is the learning task. But in the earlier case, when we were talking about the norm-referenced evaluation, the learning task was not important. The criterion was not important. Rather, the important was the group, the well-defined group. The well-defined group in the earlier case was the students, those have appeared 10th board exam in the year 2019 in the state of Uttar Pradesh. So this is the group. So you can list the name of the students that who has appeared the 10th board exam in 2019 in the state of Uttar Pradesh or any other state also. And if you want to know their position in the group, one's performance in the groups, you can say let position is 10th, position is 2nd, position is 1st, position is 100th position, you can say 150th position, you can say as per the merit list. And when you are comparing it with the groups, then you can say that can be done with the norm referenced evaluation. So you see, norm referenced evaluation is conducted in a very large situation upon a very large group, whereas criterion reference evaluation is conducted in a very limited situation, in a very, you can say, in a particular class. So you see, in a particular class, many a time to know the level of the students, to know the progress of the students, to know the mastery of the students, to know the you can say performance of the students, we conduct certain test. Okay, so you can say that test is itself a type of criterion. Then what you are doing, let in a test 10 questions we have given of equal marks. Then what you are saying, or 20 questions are given of equal marks. Then what you are saying, let a student solve 14 questions out of 20. 14 questions out of 20. We can say that this is 70%. Okay. So the student's performance is 70% in that task, in that learning task. And that learning task was the test. And that test may be from any chapter, from any unit of any subject. So friends, try to understand this is the conceptual difference between a criterion referenced evaluation and a norm reference evaluation. So when we talk about the norm reference evaluation, we emphasize the group, we emphasize the well-defined group, and we compare one's relative position in the group. And when we talk about the criterion reference evaluation, we emphasize the learning task, and we compare one's performance, any student's performance in that learning task. Then we can say that can be done with criterion reference evaluation. So friends, this is the concept of two types of evaluation as per the nature of reference. And in our next program, we will discuss these two types of evaluation, norm reference evaluation and criterion reference evaluation. We have to, we will discuss, we will differentiate these two concepts in different parameters. So this concept, you will be using this concept for differentiating the norm reference evaluation and criterion reference evaluation. Thank you.